Well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most powerful Corvette ever made from the factory. So what is going on, you guys? Riley here. Today we have the special privilege to review this 2019 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 with 755 horsepower and 715 pound-feet of torque. This one should be pretty fun. As many of you know, Chevrolet is getting ready to release their C8 Corvette this summer. So this is the final year of the C7 Corvette. So Chevrolet decided to go out with a bang and create this monster right here, the ZR1, which is basically their halo car, and it pretty much does everything and takes everything up a notch to just level 11 when it comes to just about every performance aspect of a vehicle. So I'm very excited for this review. I actually had the chance to review a C7 Z06 about 2 weeks ago. So this will be a nice comparison to see if the ZR1 is really worth the extra money as compared to a Z06. So first off, let's go ahead and start off with a quick little exterior walk around and show you some of the features on the car. So starting off with the front end, as you can tell, the front grille is a lot more aggressive and just massive to get all kinds of airflow going in there to cool down this massive LT5 engine, which is a complete beast. You also get a ton of carbon fiber accents on the splitter, on the sides, on the side skirts, on the hood, obviously. I mean, this driving down the road is actually very noticeable and almost limits your visibility a little bit, but it's so cool just knowing what is underneath that carbon fiber hood right there. You're like, yep, I could pretty much beat anything on the road. And of course, to bring all of that power to a stop, you have massive 6-piston Brembo brakes and carbon ceramic rotors, which, yeah, they're pretty massive. Oddly enough, this is like my first fast automatic car that I've driven in like close to a year. I think the last time I drove a somewhat fast automatic was an Audi R8 V10 Plus, which was at Circuit of the Americas on the racetrack, and that was close to a year ago. So I've been driving a bunch of manuals recently, so this will be a nice little change to go back to the automatic life for a little while. But yeah, overall, look at how aggressive that thing looks from the rear. So there's two ways to equip a ZR1. You can get this one, which is like the quote-unquote base model, and then also you can get an added-on ZTK package, which gets you basically a little bit stiffer suspension. You get the massive rear wing and a few other goodies here and there. It's like the more track-focused one, although this one is pretty track-focused enough. But the easy way to tell them apart is looking at the rear wing. So this one's actually the smaller rear wing, even though it is still pretty large. But yeah, I mean, overall, one of the best looking cars to ever be made from any American manufacturer, or even any manufacturer in the whole world, to be honest with you. In the rear, you get some 335 with Michelin Pilot Super Sports, and then up front, you have 285 Michelin Pilot Super Sports. So this thing has all of the ability to go fast, to stop, and to handle. This is the just overall track weapon that Chevrolet has created. And like I said, it is their halo car. So as to be expected, they are quite expensive. I believe this one right now is listed on Parkway Chevrolet's website for like $130 some odd thousand, and it's a lot of money for a Corvette. But I just wanted to take this time to give a huge shout out to Parkway Chevrolet in Tomball, Texas. They are responsible for many of the awesome cars that I get to review on this channel. So if you're interested in a new ZR1 or a Camaro or anything in between, please go check out their website and ask for David Croft. Tell him RP Productions sent you. I believe right now they have like 5 or 6 of these ZR1s in stock. So yeah, tell them RP sent you. They'll take care of you. So I would say the biggest difference between this car and a Z06 is what is underneath the hood. So this is, well, pretty much covered in all carbon fiber, but this is Chevrolet's LT5, which makes 755 horsepower, 715 pound-feet of torque, 3-second 0 to 60 times. I mean, this thing is just an absolute monster. Unfortunately, you can't really see much of it because, you know, there is that giant little carbon fiber cover. And this car has been out for, I guess, about a year or so now at the time of recording this video. And just last week, people have finally cracked the code on tuning these things. So now you can finally modify them. And I can't believe this car modified. That would be just so insane, because even in stock form, just driving over here to this area to review it, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. But seriously, how cool is that to have this giant cutout in the hood so you can see through right there? I mean, it's just everything about this car. Chevrolet was like, how can we make this, you know, just one up a little bit of everything else? And well, they figured that out. Check out this carbon fiber here on the bottom of the hood. So the color of this car is called Ceramic Matrix Gray, which it's hard to pick up on camera, but it almost has like a bluish hue to it. So it's very, very cool. Something you definitely have to see in person to truly appreciate. I think on camera it kind of comes across as more white than anything. But moving on to the interior now, you're greeted with, I'm not sure if there's a specific color for it, but it's a gray interior. So not something you see too often. A lot of these are usually black. So with the interior, you have some nice little ZR1 badges here in the seat, and the overall cockpit is relatively similar to a Z06, although you do get more carbon fiber accents, a little ZR1 badging right there on the steering wheel, a ZR1 badge right here in front of the gear shifter, if I can get it to focus. Right up in that little area, just kind of reminds you, hey, you're in a ZR1. And I mean, overall, the interior is about what you would expect from a ZR1, but they've just found a way to make everything just go up a slight little notch. And of course, on the roof with the ZR1, you get the nice little quilted suede on the roof. So that's a nice little feature as well. So let's go ahead and bring this thing to life now. As I said, not too much is different with the ZR1 compared to a Z06 on the inside. Most noticeably the headliner, obviously, like I mentioned, and the different badging, of course. But everything is relatively the same as your pretty much typical C7. Although what you do notice is this giant little protruding hood up there, so your visibility is somewhat limited compared to what you're used to in a C7. But I would take that trade-off any day because that looks so darn cool. Also, it's hard to tell, but you got a heads-up display right up there, so you can obviously tell your speed and stuff like that. And then your gauge is relatively the same, a speedometer that goes up to 220 miles per hour. And I mean, overall, this thing is just so badass. And Chevrolet's little party trick, you can hide all kinds of stuff back there and nobody would ever know. Also, one last thing I do want to note is it has a Bose sound system, which sounds really, really good. It's very crisp and a nice bass, so you gotta love it. But who cares about that sound system when you have this sound system right here? Look at that. I mean, just the idle. Once again, one of the best looking and best sounding cars on the road. Now, this is where one of my gripes starts with this car. So let's say you want to go open the trunk. There's a button down here right under the ZR1 badge. The trunk pops open, and this is where it gets a little tricky with the wing being right here. So to open the trunk, you have like a finger of clearance right here to open it up. So you can't really fit a whole hand right there. It's just kind of weird. But you know, obviously your standard trunk size, but just opening it with this rear wing is a little bit strange. So I wonder if it's worse or better with the big wing, but that's how it is, at least with the smaller wing. All right, so now I guess the only thing left to do now is take this beast out for a little drive. So, like I said, 8-speed automatic transmission, so we're not dealing with a manual in this car, which I don't know how a manual in this car would be, but I do know the automatic will be very, very fast, so I'm looking forward to that. I also have quite a few first impressions just after driving this car for a few miles this afternoon before starting this segment, and most noticeably, this car does not feel like a Corvette pretty much at all. Like, this feels more European and like exotic. This feels like I'm driving more like a Ferrari than I am a Corvette. And that kind of seems to be the route that Chevrolet is going nowadays, especially with the C8 going to be mid-engine. It's like they're just kind of like, you know, forget messing around with Challengers and Mustangs. We want to go after the Europeans, and they've definitely made that very clear, you know, with the quilted suede and like stuff like that. But I would say that's a really good thing, because that's going to keep Chevrolet, you know, pushing the boundaries and seeing, you know, just how far they can go to make things like crazy. And I like that. Crazy is good. Visibility is still pretty good, although I did mention earlier, you know, it's limited a little bit compared to a typical C7. Also, just this area right here seems to kind of go down more than I'd like it to, so you kind of have to do a little bob and weave to kind of see out that way. And then also when you look in your rearview mirror, you're greeted to a nice massive wing back there, so that's pretty cool. And just reminds you, hey, you're in a race car, dude, so enjoy it. And I mean, everything about this car is just like, it's a street legal race car, and I love that. And I'm kind of in somewhat enemy territory here, because Chevrolet kind of made this car, like I mentioned earlier, to be kind of a little bit more exotic, but also they really wanted to go after the ACR Viper. So this would be like my main competitor if I ever were to buy an ACR Viper. So yeah, enemy territory. This is fun. But I know why you guys are here. You want to see some reactions to acceleration. So we're going to do just that. We have it in sport mode, and we're just going to point it straight in automatic mode and see how it does. So ladies and gentlemen, here is the ZR1. Oh my God! Holy! Oh, yeah, that's fast. Oh, Billy. I kind of like the auto in this car. I don't know if I even want to deal with having a manual in this thing. Holy crap. I know the speedometer is a digital speedometer here in the middle, but watching the thing skip numbers by like, I don't know, like 10 to 15 at a time is just insane. I mean, my goodness, this is so insane. And aside from the performance, you definitely capture a lot of attention in this thing. Just been driving around for the past few hours, like everybody is stopping, staring. I've had a couple people actually take pictures of the car, and then when I was filming the segment earlier in that like little area by all the grass, I had 3 different people pull off the road and come see the car and come talk to me about it. And I was like, no, it's not mine. Can't afford it. But I mean, it definitely attracts a lot of attention. Dang. Also, the fact that this is even like legal to have an exhaust this loud in a stock car. Here's a ZL1. Nice, dude. He didn't wave, but he actually dropped his jaw. He drove by and was like, that's a ZR1, but didn't wave. But that goes back to, you just never see these things on the road. Sure, you'll see, you know, base model C7s pretty much everywhere. You'll see the occasional Z06. You don't see ZR1s hardly anywhere. And I don't know what the production number is on these cars, but I guarantee you it's not very many, and especially if they discontinue them after a 1-year run going towards the C8 now, these are going to be extremely rare. They're holding their value incredibly well. I mean, this is quite a machine. You know, the great thing about technology is the fact that you can have a car with 755 horsepower, but you also still have like heated and cooled seats, which I have the cooled seats on right now. They don't work all that great, but at least they're there and it's better than nothing. But in the past, you know, if you wanted something with 700 and whatever horsepower, I mean, it was like a race car. But now it's like you can get something with, you know, nice little features and stuff, and you can theoretically daily drive this if you wanted to. But enough about that. Let's take this corner with a little bit of speed, see how the handling is. You actually feel a decent amount of weight in this car. It weighs 3,600 pounds, and you kind of feel that. Definitely heavier than a C6. Got stuff flying around back there, but still actually handles very, very well. Definitely a very confidence-inspiring car. But I have noticed, like, when you're accelerating from a stop just slowly, it kind of feels almost in a way sluggish. Like you kind of have to get on the gas a little bit, and then once you do, obviously it goes very fast. But I'm sure that has something to do with maybe how they tuned it, or just, I don't know, the overall feel of this car. It kind of feels just heavier or bigger than it actually is, but it's very like commanding, and like you feel just in charge of everything. So let's go back to the corners now and hit them with a little bit of speed. This is insane that you can go out and buy this. Anybody can buy this with enough money, of course. That is just insane. Oh my gosh. I can't believe this is even like legal. I think the last time I said that about a car was when I drove the Dodge Demon. That kind of gave you like a similar feeling. Just when you accelerate, you're like, I can't believe somebody can go out and buy this. I mean, what a world we live in now. So now the big question is this car worth, like, you know, give or take $140,000 when you could go out and buy a C7 Z06 for, I don't know, new, probably like what, 75, 80, somewhere in there. I mean, that's tough. That's a lot of money. That's when you start getting into like the exotic territory and, you know, Vipers. And, you know, I think to the right person, yes, I think it's worth every bit of the price tag they're asking for it. It's going to be the last C7. It's the C7 Halo car. It doesn't get any better than this. You're backed by a factory warranty. It's incredibly fast, and it's not like you're paying $140,000 for it and losing that money. You have to also factor in depreciation. So you can buy the car for $140 and then drive it for however many thousand miles and turn around and sell it for $135, $130. You might lose 5 to 10 grand, but that's no different than if you went out and bought a Tahoe and drove that around for a while, and then you lose 5 to 10 grand on that. So you have to really look at the depreciation of cars when you are deciding what you want to buy. And if this car continues to, you know, pretty much hold where it's at in terms of the market value that they're going for, then I think that this thing's every bit worth what they're asking for it. I mean, if you have the money, then yeah, it's a fantastic car. Although I do think for most people, it is a little bit more practical, quote unquote, to buy a Z06 for, you know, used. Now you can buy them for like 50 or 55,000. But overall, this car does feel a lot more special than, you know, the Z06. The Z06 feels very special, don't get me wrong, but just the fact that, you know, like, you're in a ZR1, this thing attracts a lot more attention, and like, people actually surprisingly know what this is. That, or they're just confused at what it is, but there's a lot of attention attracted to this car. But just about everything on this car is perfect. I mean, you want something fast, this is extremely fast. Like, very, very fast. I've driven a lot of fast cars, and this one is right up there at the top. I'm trying to think, I mean, this and a Demon, I'm not sure, I can't remember who's actually faster, but who cares? They're both stupid fast. Although this thing handles a whole lot better, the brakes are insane. I mean, this is like a perfect performance car, track car, something that's still comfortable and gets okay gas mileage. Okay gas mileage considering what it is. But let's put it in manual mode now and try out the paddle shifters, which in the past, the GM 8-speed paddle shifters haven't been extremely responsive. So let's see how these are. There's a little bit of a delay. You can probably hear it click and then it shifts. It's not bad. It's definitely not on par with a bunch of the European like PDKs and dual clutches and stuff like that. You can definitely tell that it's kind of lacking there, but this is one of the first cars I've driven that I'm like content with just leaving it in automatic mode and just sending it and letting the car kind of do its thing. I don't think you would ever be able to even shift as well as the car could with paddle shifters in this thing. Listen to this exhaust when I let off. It's like someone's making popcorn back there. All right, second gear. Actually, when you're wide open, it actually is very responsive. When you're just cruising, it's almost like it's delayed a little bit, but right there, it was actually very nice. So that must be something in the tuning that they can kind of adjust the shift delay. But yeah, that's very fast. No questions asked there. There's no doubts. The ZR1 is very fast. Your whole perception of just other cars on the road just changes when you get in a car like this. It's just like everybody else it's just a peasant. You're like, yeah, I'm faster than you, faster than you, faster than you. I mean, it's just, this whole experience is just so next level. So yeah, without a doubt, ZR1, easily one of my favorite cars I have ever driven. I have nothing but good things to say about this car. I can't really find anything to complain about for what it is. I've had a smile on my face the entire time driving it. I mean, good job, Chevrolet. You guys know how to make a sports car. So once again, just wanted to give a huge shout out to Parkway Chevrolet. If you're in the market for one of these beasts, then hit them up. Of course, they can, you know, find you one anywhere in the country. Or if you're just in the market for a Silverado or a Tahoe, Camaro, whatever, hit up David Croft, tell him RP Productions sent you. They will take care of you. But I mean, honestly, such cool guys they are for allowing me to do this review on such an amazing car, and I'm very grateful for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. It's going to be hard to top this thing, but I'm sure we'll find something. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Take it easy. All right, you ready?
I guess. I felt that one in my stomach.
It's freaking ridiculous. Pretty fast though.
Yeah, I felt like we were going uphill, and you know the feeling when you're going downhill